Hello and welcome to this short video. In this video I will show you how we can actually create an illustrative plotting technique using Matplotlib to visualize data where we are going to design and enhance our understanding of the power of Matplotlib. The first thing we will need to do is to bring in Matplotlib into our Jupyter notebook, as you can see there, and at the same time, since I will be using NumPy, so I need to bring in NumPy by using the import commands, as you can see here for the two statements. So I will execute this, and now this example is actually going to show how we are actually going to create visualization of three techniques. The first is line plot, the second is a scatter plot, and the last is bar chart plot. These are techniques which are used by data scientists quite a lot, and by machine learning engineers at the same time. Now, when we talk about line plot, we are actually going to visualize a sine wave to show the basics of how this can be plotted. Then for the scatter plot, I will create random data between 0 and 1, and I will create 100 samples, and then I will use this data to plot against axis, against an x-axis. Okay, and the last one is the bar chart, and in here I created four categories, which is A, B, C, and D, and then I assigned data to these categories, and of course, as you can see, I used a list to create this data. While in the first example, since I am going to be using a sine wave, then I used NumPy, and I call the function sine, and I pass to it the x values, and the x values are line space, and it's going to be 10 between the line of between 0 and 10, and it's going to be contain 100 samples. So we generate 100 points between 0 and 10. I pass these to the sine. This will calculate the values, and I will assign them to y line, and that will be my y line. Then I go back to calling Matplotlib by calling PLT, and then I call the figure function, and I said I want a figure that's actually 8 by 4, so I defined 8 by 4 in here, and then I wanted to plot this. So what do I need to pass? I need to pass the x values between 0 and 10, and then the y line, which is the calculation of these values using the sine, and I passed x to that. Then I called it label sine x, and then I use the color blue, and the line style is 1 dash, and the marker is circle. Then I titled this plot, and I defined the x and y labels, and then I added a legend, and then I showed the plot. So most of these things we have already seen in our previous examples, therefore I'm not going into too much details about them. Okay, so the next thing is the scatter, the y scatter, and I called the function random, and I use rand to do that because I want the values to be between 0 and 1. And then I actually used the function figure, and I defined the figure size in here to be 8 by 4, and then I call the function scatter and pass to it the parameter x and the random numbers which are assigned to y, and then I labeled it as random data. Then I use the color green, and the marker in this case is going to be x. Then I titled this plot, and created the X and Y labels and then a legend, and then I use show plot again. The third example in this code is the bar charts, and as I said, I created 4 categories and I assigned data to these categories, and then created the figure again for 8 by 4, and then in the bar I have to decide what are the categories and the assigned values to these categories, and then just called the color, and I called it orange, and then title, an X label and Y label, and then show the figure. Now if I execute this code, it should actually give me the data that we have seen. So you can see the line plot, which is the sine wave of the first one. There is the sine values for 100 samples between 0 and 10, and the y-axis is between -1 and 1, because the sign is actually positive and negative and it needs to be shown. Then this is the scatter, where we have generated 100 values, random values between 0 and 1, because we use random.rand, and .rand will give me values between 0 and 1, and then I plotted these against the actual X value, because each of these is actually taken randomly based on X, because we had to pass X to it. And the last one is the category, and as you can see, I have 4 categories, A, B, and C, and then the bar chart is actually drawn for each of these between 0 and 25, and you can see, if you remember, it was 15, 24, and I can't remember the third one what it was, 12 and 8. So if 15, 24, 12, and 8, and as you can see, it's a nice way of actually comparing categories of data, and it's a nice way to actually create the chart plot. And you will see that we will be able to do a lot, especially when we are talking about machine learning, and we are going to be introducing the different machine learning models and algorithms which we are going to build. We will be using the scatter plot quite a lot, and you will see this in our examples in the future. I will stop this video here, and I will hope to see you in the next